Good morning all. In this video, I'm going to explain about bipolar junction transistor. Before going to the concept of bipolar junction transistor, let us see what is a transistor. A transistor is nothing but it is a semiconductor device with three terminals, and this transistor is an electronic component which is used in almost all the electronic circuits, is either used to amplify or switch the electrical signals or power. So the amplification in this transistor can be achieved by passing the input current signal from a region of low resistance to the region of high resistance. This concept of transfer of resistance have given the name transfer resistor. It's called as a transistor, and it has the ability to control the electron flow through it. Now let us look the types of transistor. The transistor can be broadly classified into two types. One is called as a bipolar junction transistor BJT. The other one is called as a field effect transistor FET. The bipolar junction transistor is further classified into two types. One is called as a NPN transistor and the other one is called as a PNP transistor. The FET can be broadly classified into two types. The first one is called as a junction field effect transistor JFET, and second one is called as a metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor MOSFET. The other name for MOSFET is insulator gate FET or metal oxide silicon transistor. So JFET can be classified into two types. The first type is called as a N-channel JFET and second type is called as a P-channel JFET. And the MOSFET can be operated in two modes. One is called as the enhancement mode of MOSFET. The other one is called as a depletion MOSFET. Now let us look in detail about bipolar junction transistor. A BJT is nothing but it is a three-terminal semiconductor device, and the current conduction in BJT takes place based on both the majority and minority carriers. That's why it's given by name called as a bipolar. And this BJT is a current control device because the output current is being controlled by the input current, and the three terminals of the BJT are emitter, base, and collector, where emitter terminal is a heavily doped, where it helps to inject more charge carriers to the other regions, and base is a lightly doped or thin layer, and the collector will be a moderately doped region. Here the figure shows the construction and symbol of a NPN and PNP transistor. The figure A shows the NPN transistor, where NPN transistor is nothing but the two end region is being used. A p-type region has been sandwiched in between the two end regions, and the base terminal will be taken from the p region, and the collector and emitter terminals have been taken from the end regions. And if you look at the symbol of your NPN transistor, here the arrow mark shows it indicates the flow of current that occurs in a transistor. So for the NPN transistor, the arrow mark will be shown outwards. Whereas if you look at the figure B, which is nothing but the PNP transistor, a PNP transistor is nothing but N-type material is being sandwiched in between the two P regions, and the base terminals will be taken from the N region, and the collector and emitter terminals will be taken from the two P region. And if you look at the symbol of your PNP transistor, the arrow marks which indicates the flow of current is being shown inwards for the emitter current, which shows it is a symbol for a PNP transistor. Now let us look the operation of your NPN transistor. The figure B shows that for a transistor to be operated, we have to some biasing has to be applied to the transistor. Biasing is nothing but applying some DC external voltage source to the transistor. The transistor consists of two junctions. One is called as the emitter base junction, other one is called as a collector base junction, as shown in the figure. So the forward bias voltage is being applied to the emitter base junction of a NPN transistor, and the reverse bias is being applied to the collector base junction of a NPN transistor. So what you call by a forward biasing? See, if you look at the figure, the negative terminal of the battery is being connected to the N region, and the positive of your source is being connected to the P region. So which shows that the transistor is being forward biased, and if suppose the positive terminal of the battery is connected to the N region and negative is being connected to the P region, it will be giving a reverse bias condition. Now let us look how the current conduction takes place in a NPN transistor. The figure A shows how the current flows occurs in an NPN transistor. As I mentioned before, the emitter and base junctions are being forward biased and the collector and base junctions are being reverse biased. If the forward bias is being applied to the emitter and base junction, since your emitter terminal is heavily doped, more number of electrons will be present in the emitter terminal. So as soon as the forward bias is applied, the electron that is present in the emitter terminals will be breaking the junction between your emitter and base, and it will be combining with the few holes that is present in your base region, and which will be producing a base current, and the remaining amount of electrons will be crossing over the collector base junction, and it will be flows to the collector region. So the more collector current will be flowing, which is being noted, which is being indicated by IC, and all these electrons will be collected towards the positive of your battery. So the current total current in the NPN transistor is given by IE is equal to IB plus IC. Now let us look the operation of a PNP transistor. So again, a transistor, PNP transistor, biasing is going to apply to a PNP transistor, where emitter base junction of the transistor is forward biased and collector base junction of the transistor is going to be reverse biased. So since it is a emitter terminal is taken from the P region, the emitter and the collector will be consist of more number of holes, whereas the base terminal is a lightly doped and it will be consist of a less number of electrons present. So as soon as a forward bias voltage is being applied to the emitter base junction of a PNP transistor, the holes that is present in your P region of emitter will be crossing the junction of your emitter base, and it will be combining with the few electron that is present in the base region, which will be producing a less amount of a base current, and the remaining holes will be crossing the collector base junction, and it will be collected towards the negative of your terminal. So from the operation of a PNP transistor, it is clear that the total emitter current will be equal to base current plus collector current. So for the NPN transistor, the current conduction occurs due to the excess flow of electron that takes place from the emitter to the collector, and for the PNP transistor, the current conduction occurs due to the excess flow of holes that occurs from the emitter to the collector terminal. Now let us see the transistor configuration. Based on the input, output and common terminals connected to a transistor has three configurations. The first one is called as a common base configuration. The other name for the common base configuration is a base grounder configuration. For the common base, the input terminals will be taken from the emitter and the output will be a collector, and the base will be a common terminal for the input emitter and the output collector. A second one is a common emitter configuration. The other name for the common emitter configuration is that it is called as a emitter grounder configuration, where the input will be base and the output will be a collector, and the emitter will be a common terminal for the input base and the output collector. And the third configuration is a common collector configurations, where the input will be a base and the output will be taken from the emitter terminal, and the collector will be a common terminal for the input base and the output emitter. So it can also be called as a collector grounded configuration. So based on this configuration, so a transistor can be used for either voltage as well as for the current amplification. Now let us look the first type of configuration, that is common base configuration. Here the figure shows a circuit diagram of a common base configuration. From the figure it is clear that the base terminal is going to be a common for the input emitter and the output collector. The current that flows through the input side will be emitter current, and the forward bias voltage will be applied to the emitter to base junction, which is being given by VEB. And if you consider the output side, the collector current flows and the reverse bias voltage that is being applied to the collector base junction is given by VCB. So for applying the biasing voltage, we are going to use two sources in the input side. One on the input side, another one will be used in the output side. Now let us look the input characteristic curve and output characteristic curve of a common base configuration. So the input characteristic curve is a plot between the VCEB voltage versus the IE current, with VCB remains constant. We'll go back to the circuit. To find the input characteristic curve, we have to make the VCB to be kept constant by varying the output source. So for example, initially the VCB is now 0 volt, and by varying the VEE, the voltage versus your IE current will be noted. So as as the VE increases from zero point 0.1 volt, the emitter and base will be acting as a normal PN junction. So when the applied input voltage reaches a cut-in voltage, junction voltage, then our current, IE current will start to flow. So if you look at the characteristic curve of our input common base configuration, so the VEB is started varying from zero point 0.1, zero point 0.2. So as soon as your VEB voltage reaches the cut-in voltage of a emitter base junction, then there will be getting a rapid increase in your emitter current. And the second thing, if the same step has been repeated for different values of VCB, from the figure it is shown that as the VCB is being increased uh, greater than 1 volt. So what will happen is that the reverse bias voltage is being going to be increased between the collector and base terminal. So which in term will cause the width of the base to be a smaller. So we are getting a shift in the correct in the case of the emitter current as shown in the figure for VCB is greater than 1 volt. Now we will see the operation of our output characteristic of a common base configuration. So output characteristic is being plotted by keeping your input IE constant and by varying your output source, we are going to note what is your VCEB versus your IC current. We are going to get it. So for different values of your emitter current, the VCB versus the IC current is going to be plotted. If you look at the figure for the output characteristic, the x-axis will be your VCB in volts and the y will be your IC in milliamps. By varying different values of IE, we are going to note down what is the VCB versus your IC current. Okay. The next concept, the important concept we are going to see here in a common base configuration is called as the early effect. So what is the early effect? So as the collector voltage VCC increases, that is when the reverse bias voltage increases, what will happen is that the space charge width between your collector and base will also increases, which in turn will result in the effective width of the base will get decreased. As the base width of your base terminal decreases due to the collector to emitter voltage, we normally call this term to be early effect of base width modulation. So what will be the consequence of this early effect? So if your collector voltage is further increases, then what will happen is that the effective base width of your base terminal will get reduced to zero and the voltage breakdown will occur in the transistor, and this phenomena we normally called as a punch through. So next we'll see the transistor parameters of a common base configuration. From the input and output characteristic curve, we are going to get a 4 transistor parameters for the common base configuration, and this is called as a common base, a hybrid or a H parameters. The first parameter of a transistor common base configuration is called as the input impedance, and it has been given by the notation HIB, where HI is a notation used for the input impedance and B stands for it is a common base configuration, where the input impedance is nothing but it is a ratio of change in the emitter to base voltage for a change in the emitter current with VCB kept constant, and this input impedance can be calculated from the input characteristic curve of a common base configuration. And next parameter will be your output admittance, and it is being indicated by HOB, where the output admittance is nothing but it is a ratio of change in the collector current to the change in the collector to base voltage with emitter current kept constant. So the output impedance of this common base configuration can be calculated from the output characteristic curve. The next parameter is called as the forward current gain, HFB, where the forward current gain is nothing but it's a change in the output current to the change in the input current. That is a change in the collector current to the change in the emitter current with VCB kept constant. And this forward current gain can be calculated from the output characteristic curve, and reverse voltage gain HRB, where HRB is equal to change in the emitter base voltage to the change in the collector base voltage with IE is kept constant. And all these 4 parameters will be giving a different ranges, where if you take the input impedance, the typical value of the input impedance is ranges from 20 ohms to 50 ohms for the common base, and the output impedance will be ranges from in the order of 0.1 to 10 micromhs. Mho is a unit for the admittance and the forward current gain. So the value of a forward current gain will vary from 0.9 to 1 for a common base, and the reverse voltage gain, it typically takes the value in the order of 10 power minus 5 to 10 power minus 4. Thank you.